What if your relationship sucks so badly because you're consistently experiencing triangulation? And when I say triangulation, I don't just mean that you're being triangulated with other men or women. Like maybe your partner is making you feel like you're not good enough. Oh, this person did that or that person did this. Why can't you do it? This, that, and the other. I'm talking about the violations of the intersubjective space between self and other, between I and thou. And a lot of people don't take this into consideration, right? It's not just that you're being manipulated into doing something through triangulation with somebody else, right? You're being compared to by somebody else. It's also that other people are just being brought into the relationship like all the fucking time. And that over time deteriorates any relationship. Now, if that's a dynamic that you are used to and comfortable and familiar with, then it's probably going to feel like home. It doesn't change the fact that it's not the best experience, and over time it does end up sucking, right? Let's look at what triangulation is. Let me just make this very clear, first and foremost. If you compare yourself to other people, there's a very high chance that in childhood you were triangulated by a parent or both parents, right? Now, if you were triangulated by your parents, it's likely that you're going to be attracted to men or women that triangulate you. Triangulation looks like a few things. Triangulation looks like you being compared to somebody else in your relationship, right? Maybe your partner says, I don't understand why you can't just be like that person. That person did that thing for me and I liked that, and you don't, and I don't like that, this, that, and the other, rather than just accepting you for who the fuck you are. That is triangulation. Triangulation is also when you find yourself in conversation with somebody else or multiple other people, but you're talking about somebody else that is not there. Drama and gossip, right? That's also what triangulation is. But what effect, or I should say, what unhealthy effect does triangulation have on relationships? And I'm not just talking about like you being with your partner and them triangulating you with somebody else. Maybe, for instance, your partner decides to triangulate you with their ex to try to manipulate you to get you to do something. Oh, my ex did this for me, so I don't understand why you can't do it for me. Because they're not comfortable, Nancy. No, it's not just that. It's also you being with your partner or multiple people. Well, let's focus on one person, right? Because the I, thou, the self and other dynamic relationship here is the important part that I'm looking at. So, what happens when there is consistently triangulation in your relationship with your primary partner? Well, over time, it deteriorates the relationship, in my opinion and from my experience, because you're not focused on the intersubjective space and the health of the intersubjective space between you and your partner. You are instead focused on other people. Instead of taking the time to actually get to know your partner deeper, and instead of actually taking the time for your partner to get to know you deeper, the intersubjective space between you and them, the boundaried space, what takes place between you and them, is having bullets fucking ricochet back and forth off the fucking walls and maybe like grazing you and them and hitting you guys. And you're just kind of like, what the fuck is this? I don't like this. I don't want this. I don't understand why this is here, right? But the dynamic might be so comfortable and familiar to you that you just continue to go with it. I have experienced, I have literally been with somebody, and it didn't really have to be like, like romantic or anything. I was getting to know somebody, but like, uh, I remember just sitting there listening to this other person talk about other people. And it happened multiple times, and I was like, all right, this is the pattern. This is not going to change no matter what it is that I say. I got out, of course, but like it's just wild because triangulation is more so a distraction to any healthy relationship. And any healthy relationship probably would not consist of triangulation. There's a reason why it's a healthy relationship. It does not consist of triangulation. Triangulation is an unhealthy dynamic. And if you're attracted, again, like I was saying before, if you are attracted to people that triangulate you, there's a very high chance that you were triangulated in childhood, right? Um, and so the fascinating thing when we start to take into consideration the intersubjective space between self and other, between I and thou, right? What we might start to notice is that we want to create something sacred in that intersubjective space, right? And over time, as a person heals and as a person becomes more aware of what it is that they want to create with somebody else, triangulation becomes far less enticing and potentially even, uh, repulsive, um, vomit inducing, you know? It's like you and I can create something where we get to become more intimate with each other. Introducing other names, other voices, other people is not an intimate thing. That leaves us feeling vulnerable and naked and boundaryless, and it's just not fun. Triangulation deteriorates and erodes intimacy over time. Really, really healthy intimacy. It does. But the chances are high that if triangulation is already an element in the dynamic, that intimacy is just not even present or possible. Healthy intimacy, by the way. Triangulation is very much a enmeshment based thing, and it completely voids intimacy altogether. Anyway, as it is. Um, so this is why it's important to consider the role of triangulation in relationships and understanding what it actually does to relationships. Um, Triangulation eats the hell out of health in any relationship. It's just it gets rid of it. It's not even present, right? And so this is why it's important to understand the role that triangulation has in relationships and what it does, what it means, why it's there. Um, if you're in a relationship with somebody and triangulation is consistently present, there's a good chance that that's a dynamic that you're comfortable and familiar with. It will erode your relationship over time. It absolutely will. You might find yourself asking yourself, why the fuck am I listening to this person tell me about other people that are not here, maybe even talking shit about them, right? I don't need to be here listening to this. So over time, as you may come to realize that it's not going to change because that's just the way that they are, you're going to change and you're going to up and leave because you just don't want to deal with that anymore. Um, Relationships of triangulation, they don't really feel authentic, right? And if you do start to ask yourself, why the hell is this person triangulating, right? Why is this person behaving this way? Why are they saying these things? Because that's the way that they are. Because they learned that drama and gossip and triangulation and enmeshment is intimacy from a very early age. And if it's any sort of intimacy, I will call it pseudo intimacy. It's definitely not healthy. It definitely fucks up relationships. And that's just the way that it is, right? But really, what triangulation does to relationships over time is that if one or both people become more aware of the relationship, they'll realize that they're just showing up for a dynamic where they're just listening to the other person talk about other people and they're not happy with it because of course they wouldn't be happy with it because where is the actual I thou self other intimacy? I'm not learning more about you. I'm learning more about you talk about somebody else. Now, before I end off this video, let me make this very clear. Triangulation, enmeshment, drama, and gossip being present in relationships says so much about somebody's fear of intimacy, not only with you, but with themselves. you're not going to meet somebody any deeper than the enmeshment, the triangulation, the drama, and the gossip that they have to vomit at you. Probably because they're scared of meeting themselves any deeper. They utilize triangulation, drama, gossip, and enmeshment more so as a distraction from their own life because the potential of looking at their life is absurdly fucking painful to them. So they're very surface level, and that's all that they can offer you. And it's very important to understand that because you can try to dig all you want, but they're more comfortable with third party bullets ricocheting the fuck off of the space that you guys are trying to create together.